Susie here, and today we're playing Watcher of Realms. For today's video, we have Dev Insights. It just happened today, this morning, so I'm hopefully catching it nice and early for once. I swear I always miss it, but yeah, let's get into it. Let's see if there's some nice little teaser of some changes to come. Alright, so before I get into this, I'm actually going to share with you something that was told to me by content creator Contact. I did ask my contact if the whole shard situation was ever going to circulate, as in, are we gonna have Alistair come back as a shard summon fusion event or not? Because if we go crunching our Alistair shards and we have enough to get 2 Alistairs next time instead of 1, you know, that would suck. That would suck. And people would be pretty sad if you crunched all your fragments for this random chest thing, and then in 2 months there's another Alistair event and you could have used them to actually get the hero who's really good and you'd love the Awakenings for. But the confirmation was, which is what I put here, they said the repeat shard summon event won't come back, but the shard, before the shards, there will be a chance to recycle them in advance. For the suggestion of clear in future status, please report in the suggestions channel. So my message was like, could you please make sure the devs put out some clarity on whether or not these events are coming back? Like, don't just announce this new thing and then people don't even know what about the old events, right? So I am going to put in the suggestions, which is where these dev insights come from. So this is a little full circle moment of like, even though I have a content creator contact and we talk to the devs, we don't directly talk to the devs, and they tell me to submit to these things. So even though we have power, we don't really have power. They still want us to submit like everybody else when we have suggestions or important things, because they genuinely do read these, and these are real responses most of the time, I think, to be honest. Who knows? Sometimes I think it's just bad translations, or, you know, it could be chat GDP type, give a generic answer because we can't really answer this, but that's to be expected. Okay, so again, this shard summon event coming up, feel free to, or shard crunching event coming up, feel free to crunch away because there's not going to be Alistair again. That's what I was told. That better not change. Okay, that's what I was told directly. Alright, I've read through 12 questions. There really wasn't much else to talk about. There a lot of general stuff for not really answering the right question, or just stuff that's already been implemented that they're commenting on. But this one is just another note. People keep asking about this. Removing 5-star psychic powers from guild boss chests. Everyone is sick and tired of seeing the golden chest only to have it be a 5-star. So they do say this, which is important. 5-star psychic power is still in demand by some players. We will continue to observe this, and we also need to consider the feelings of players who need these materials. This is true, and actually a really good point, because for us people that have played a long time, the last thing we want is a 5-star psychic power from guild boss. However, if you're still in your first few weeks, month or 2 of playing, leveling up heroes can be really slow unless you're wailing out and like, you know, I guess just getting a lot of fodder that you crunch into like 1 stars to 2 stars, 2 stars to 3 stars, 3 stars to 4 stars, etc. Unless you're like doing a ton of summons, it can be really slow, and a 5-star psychic power actually can mean a lot early game. I remember doing the free-to-play, and I was only doing the, like, I don't know, Nightmare 2 and 3 or whatever at most, or not even, because I got I got terrible guild boss heroes for the most part. But I can imagine I would have been very happy to get 5-star psychic powers that early on. So I think there has to be a balance with this. Maybe it's just Nightmare 4 should not include 5-star psychic powers, right? Just Nightmare 4, because that's like, by the time you get to Nightmare 4, you should be pretty well established with plenty of heroes leveled up and be able to farm very easily for like experience rates to get more and to level those up, etc. And I think at least Nightmare 4 should remove 5-star psychic power. But I think they should leave it in the other ones because you do need it as you're progressing to get to that point in the first place. Alright, a simple but nice change, I guess. Although I think it makes sense the way it is because it's what it is. Unpolished or polished. It's legendary, it's not. Please change the unpolished soulstone. It looks too similar to the legendary soulstone. Change the color at least or change something more significant. They do say we will make them more distinguishable in future updates. Maybe you leave the legendary soulstone that's the unpolished the way it is, and you make the older, regular legendary soulstone more dramatic, like it's glowing or has some sort of rainbow effect to it or something, because it's polished and it's ready to upgrade some lords. Alright, the next one's pretty interesting. Can we get an adjustment to the hero leveling events in tournaments? Their current point system heavily favors making food, so much so that it's hardly worth promoting and leveling playable heroes. For example, making one 5-star food yields 130 points on about 85,000 experience, but leveling a hero from 50 to 60 costs over 350,000 experience and yields 80 points in Corridor of Glory. Is that all? I think it's more than that. Was it really only 80? Oh god. Promoting heroes simply requires for too much energy for the points giving. As a result, you have hundreds of 5-star food and many heroes not fully leveled and promoted, as it's far less efficient to actually build the heroes in these events. Yeah, I've always noticed that I have all these heroes to 6-star, or these new heroes I summoned. This is actually going to be an easy event. And then you 6-star them and promote them, and you're like, oh, that didn't do much for my points, right? That should be the exciting time. You should know if you actually have a new hero to take from 1 to 60 and promote them and skill them, that you're going to get massive points. It shouldn't be farming fodder for 1 and 2 to 3-star heroes to 4-star heroes, whatever is the better result. That should not be the case at all. But that is true. They say, thanks for the feedback. We will investigate the database. Currently, 2 plans are being considered. One is reduce the difficulty of leveling up, and another is to increase the amounts obtained. I don't think they need to increase the difficulty of leveling up. It's not a concern. They're totally missing the point with this, but I wanted to read this anyway, because this is an interesting conversation, and I'm hoping maybe someone will listen to this video and understand what we really mean. We just mean give more points in the event for Corridor of Glory and hero training when people level up a hero from like 50 to 60. Or 6-starring a hero should be a lot more points. Taking a hero from 5-star to 6-star. It shouldn't be that making a ton of 1 and 2-star food turn into just pointless fodder that we're never going to use is more points. So I hope they'll look at it a little bit differently and understand what this question really means, or this comment. Alright, this is an interesting response. I didn't even read the question yet. The response was what intrigued me. I think it would be very interesting to have an item that could be used to change the sub-status of a piece of equipment. For example, changing the healing effect to an offensive item for some random substats that we can improve certain items. The substat? We already can change... Oh, they don't change the substats, they just re-roll them. Yeah, in other games you just change the stats. So we have no plans for this feature, is the reply. However, this can be used as a reference if we are to introduce new hero mechanisms in the future. What? That has nothing... How does new hero mechanisms have anything to do with changing the stat of a gear piece? Why did I read this one? I think they're drunk again, guys. Okay, this is a really good suggestion. Let us sell any unwanted exclusive artifacts for mythic artifact essence shards to get those universal ones. I love that idea. We will consider adding the feature to recycle the unwanted exclusive artifacts. Yeah, because eventually you're gonna max some of them out, and then you don't really need more copies when you have one hero that can use it. Or it's just a hero you know you're never gonna use. But at least for the ones you get too many dupes of, eventually we gotta do something with them. Not just sell for Mithril when there's something special, they deserve to do something special, maybe? Selling artifact essence shards? I like that idea. Alright, so there's 2 questions in a row, or comments about Beatrix and or Zaris. So like someone says before, maybe buff Beatrix's range before releasing another Cratch. And they say the main stage for this hero's attack range is to shine in AoE PvP. This range also possesses advantages in Gear Raid 1 at the moment. Which, yeah, it is totally fine for the AoE arena mode, but is she good enough and strong enough to actually use her there? No, not. She's not. If she's gonna be specific for AoE PvP, she needs to hit a lot harder. Or her summons do, whatever you want to say. Okay, so Beatrix looks awesome. And like another recent hero, Zaris, the new concept with potential too. However, I seriously hope you guys are planning to release content that has heavy AoE waves, because currently all the endgame content requires single target focus. Literally all of it. Such for us vets at the endgame, she's going to be fairly worthless. It would be great to see endgame content that is AoE heavy. I mean, there is one, the Gear Dungeon one. But once you did it, and that's it, right? And you don't need that hero for that. There's already plenty of people that can handle that. Okay. Alright, and give AoE heroes a bonus or something, or else our single target heroes like Kratos are just gonna dominate them. At least a 20% bonus for AoE heroes. I love the cultists. I really love their design, especially Zaris and Zealous. Of course, Zealous is broken for endgame or even mid-game. Broken not in a good way, as in broken, as in bad, how that should sound, right? He's meh. But I have no use for them, which is a shame. Also, if you don't have plans for AoE a boss soon, please make it happen. So we have a reason to get heroes like Zaris and Beatrix. It would be greatly appreciated. And they say, thanks for the feedback. We're studying the feasibility of the plan you mentioned. We'll be making improvements according to this method if the result turns out to be solid. So, kind of prioritizing creating AoE-focused end-game content. That's what I think they're trying to say they will do. Alright, I love this one here. Simple suggestion, please stop moving our camera. What is the point of allowing us to move it if you're just going to reset its position? This has driven me crazy since the first day. You try to zoom out so you can see the entire board and you adjust the position of it perfectly so you see everything you want to see based on where you positioned your heroes. And then as soon as someone uses an ultimate, boom, it's recentered again. They definitely need to do this. Thanks for your feedback. We are currently working on this issue. We may solve it with fixed cameras. Thank you. Alright, this is talking about the normal to extreme story modes and how confusing the last 2 chapters are. So I can't imagine being a new player that goes to like chapter 1, chapter 2, alright, chapter 8, now chapter 9. Like the fact that normal chapter 9 part 2 and 10 or whatever are so ridiculous don't make any sense, right? I think from the start, they should have just been harder extreme stages. There should have just been no normal version. Or they should have just made a scaled down version that someone who is at that appropriate level could actually complete. They definitely, I do think they should do a full rebalance of normal, hard, and extreme for stages, or for chapter 9 and 10 to make sense. Because there in no right mind would it be like, oh, doing all of chapter hard or chapter whatever 8 through chapter 8 in hard is easier than doing chapter 9 in normal. Like, that shouldn't be the case. Doing a few stages in hard, like chapter 1 and 2, okay, but there should be not such a massive difference, because people would get really discouraged. Like, a new player, I would think, would be so confused. So I highly suggest, personally, a complete overhaul of the stats or designations for chapter 9 and 10 for the normal, hard, and extreme modes of story, for sure. They said they're considering lowering the difficulty and reworking the stats, but were unable to give a scheduled time when this will be implemented. That would definitely be ideal. It's just such a mess. This is interesting. So for APOC, one more thing would be great. Can you make the ultimate timing for auto fight based on every phase, like you did for every round in Arena? This would make the auto run much smoother and with no need of stopping it after a certain phase. It's so true. If I want to get high points, I have to stop the run and manual the rest of it because it always gets a little messy. That's why I have not gotten past like 60,000 points and look really lazy, and I could do double the damage if I tried, because it's just not something I want to do every week. I feel like some of these contents are, once you complete it and you master it and you hit that milestone, success. Like, I don't want to have to do it again, you know? All right, so they do say they're going to be adjusting the guild versus guild timetables, which I think is good. It was a little bit weird, right? So the gauntlet and the next season are just kind of starting to happen at the same time, but overlapping, and I didn't even know what was going on. Wait, which one's starting? Like, they suggest, a couple of these comments actually suggest like putting the gauntlet in between 2 seasons and not even like putting out the next season yet. Don't confuse people, right? Or extending the preparation phases for stuff that's not running it concurrently with the gauntlet. Just, yeah, I don't know. It was kind of like, whoa, wait, what's going on? There's multiple guild versus guild. They're gonna be overlapping if you keep going. The 2 new maps you need to get used to, and it would have been nice if we had a better preparation for like season 6, like they say here, extending the preparation phase. I think it is a little bit longer, but the gauntlet starts now. But yeah, it's interesting that it worked out that way. I was kind of confused to see it all happening at once. I kind of thought it would be, yeah, like an in-between phase and it would not be overlapping at all. So maybe that's something they'll change in the future for the tournaments. And another suggestion here is a playtest mode for Semra. This feature will be added in the following version updates. To be fair, it already is like a playtest mode. You just don't accept your key if you don't want it. What's the difference with the playtest mode versus not accepting the key? Right? Isn't that pretty much the same thing? Just it doesn't hurt your keys unless you choose it for it to do so? And isn't that better the way it is now? Because if you go into a playtest mode, that doesn't count for your key, and then you have to go do it again and hope you get the same RNG for regular guild boss, Drake's Chasm. I'd rather have it be the way it is now, where you just do it. And if you don't like it, you don't accept the key. That's just as good as a playtest mode, right? Am I missing something? I don't know. There's a couple simple things that they say that they are planning to improve, like fixing the gear plan filter. It's not showing all the plans that match the filter. So they're working to improve that. More gear loadouts, please, like more slots for the gear plans. It says that will be added. And then a quick enhance option from the auto run rewards screen to the gear appearing in the sell button to just enhance it quickly there and then sell it. They say this will be introduced as well. I thought that was already being added, but maybe that's a future patch. Yeah, a couple quick notes. Not too crazy. So this comment is saying, great job, Moonton, with like adjusting the pity. That's really great. It really was very nice of them. How many companies would actually do that? to their summon rates? Yeah, right? I would have laughed if they said this was going to happen in any gacha game. So I'm quite impressed that it did. But the suggestion is to get a Legendary Lord Pity for the blue summons as well. That way, at least even if it's something super high, like 5,000 summons, you're at least you know it'll happen eventually. And they say, we'll go over the feedback and begin working based on the priority. We've noted this suggestion and we'll be discussing the detailed plan and its feasibility. So maybe... Okay, and then this is actually interesting because I had a comment which I don't think I replied to. I'm sorry, person, if that was you. I meant to reply when I got on the PC. And then I always forget to go back. So always feel free to ask again or ping me or something. Okay, so a new healer which is able to crit heal. Thanks for your feedback. We'll consider the suggestion when designing future heroes. So at this time, no, heals don't crit, right? I was like, what games did I play that heals crit? But yeah, Raid, Shadow Legends, Apothecary, right? The heals had the mention of heals critting. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I totally forgot about that because I don't think that's normal in most games for healers, but it's a cool idea. Allowing your heals to crit and be extra big. It could save the day, right? I think that's clever. Alright guys, that's it for the Dev Insights. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.